welcome to really random tutorials. Today I'll be showing you how to do the 2.5.5 Cisco packet tracer activity. It's the configure initial switch settings. So I'll be reading out these objectives and goals, and I'll be showing you how I go about solving them. Objectives. Part 1. Verify the default switch configuration. Part 2. Configure a basic switch configuration. Part 3. Configure a motd banner. Part 4. Save configuration files to NVRAM. Part 5. Configure S2. Background scenario. In this activity, you will perform basic switch configuration tasks. You will secure access to the command line interface, the CLI, and console ports using encrypted and plain text passwords. You'll also learn how to configure messages for user logging into the switch. These message banners are also used to warn unauthorized users that access is prohibited. Note, in Packet Tracer, the Catalyst 2960 switch uses iOS version 12.2 by default. If required, the iOS version can be updated from a file server in the Packet Tracer topology. The switch can then be configured to boot the iOS version 15.0 if that version is required. Instructions. Part 1. Verify the default switch configurations. Step 1. Enter privileged exec mode. You can access all switch commands from privileged exec mode. However, because many of the privileged commands configure operating parameters, privileged access should be password protected to prevent unauthorized use. The privileged exec command set includes the commands available in user exec mode, many additional commands, and the configure command through which access to the configuration mode is gained. Click switch 1 and in the CLI tab. Right here, switch 1, S1. They want us to go into the CLI tab, which we're in. Press enter. Oh, here we go at the very bottom. Let's see here. We'll go down and hit enter. So you scroll all the way down, hit enter, and you got this. It'll say switch, the greater than symbol. Type in enable, and this will give you privileged exec mode. It'll say notice that the prompt changed to reflect privileged exec mode. Step 2. Examine the current switch configuration. Enter the show running config command, and it'll give you a demonstration of the command. Type in show running dash config space command. Enter. So here's something that happens. I typed in command because I was just reading this out. Oh, whoops. And if you get it wrong, it'll say invalid input detected at the marker. Here it says command. I wasn't supposed to put command in, so do show running dash config and hit enter. And just like that, it'll load it. If you click the space bar, it'll go all the way through this until you get to the end. It'll say end, then you'll switch. Answer the following questions. How many fast Ethernet interfaces does this switch have? How many gigabit Ethernet interfaces does the switch have? What is the range of the values shown for VTY lines? Which commands will display the current contents of non-volatile random access memory, NVRAM? Why does the switch respond with the startup config is not present? So for the question, how many fast Ethernet interface does the switch have? You can scroll up here, and here are the Ethernet interface. There's 24. The next question is gigabyte. How many gigabyte Ethernet interface does the switch have? Here's a gigabyte Ethernet. There's 2. What is the range of values shown for the VTY lines? If you go down here to the bottom one, it says 5 and 15. Or actually, the range is 0 to 15, because here 0 is where it starts, and it ends at 15. It's broken this up into 2 different VTY lines. And the next question, which command will display the current contents of non-volatile random access memory, or NVRAM, if you type in show startup configuration? That'll give you the that's the command you need. And why does the switch respond with startup config if not present? It displays this message because the configuration file was not saved to NVRAM. Currently it is only located in RAM. And part 2, create a basic switch configuration. Step 1, assign a name to a switch. To configure parameters on a switch, you may be required to move between various configuration modes. Notice how the prompt changes as you navigate through the switch. So if we go down here and hit enter to just continue, they want us to configure the terminal on, let's see here, on switch 1. So all you have to do is we have to go to enable, enter, so that we can get up here to the privileged exec mode and type in configure terminal. Hit enter. And then it'll get us into the configuration mode. Now if we type in host name, that's the command to set the host name, space, and then S1, which is what we're going to name it. Then hit enter. It'll now change from switch to S1. Then type in exit, hit enter. And if you hit enter one more time, it'll go to switch 1 privileged exec mode. Now step 2, secure access to the console line. To secure access to the console line, access config line mode and set the console password to letmin. So I want you to type in configure terminal. Hit enter. Now we're in the configuration mode again. And then it says enter configuration commands, 1 per line, in with control Z. So we're going to do line console 0, hit enter, and then we're going to do password, and then we're going to set the password to let me in, and enter, and then we'll do login, and that enables it the password, and type exit, then exit. And if you hit enter, it'll go back down to switch 1. The next question is, why is the login command required? It's required because in order for the password checking process to work, it requires both the login and password commands. That just kind of activates the password. Step 3, verify that console access is secured. Exit privileged mode to verify that the console port password is in effect. So just type in exit, enter, and it brings us back to the original screen. If you hit enter, it'll say user access verification. Then for the password, you can type in password, which is let me in. And whenever you type, it won't be shown for security. So you have to, if you type in right and then click enter, it'll log you into user exec mode. Then it says, note, if the switch did not prompt you for password, then you did not configure the login parameters in step 2. So if it does not ask you for this, then you did something wrong and you need to go back and check what you did. Step 4, secure privileged mode access. Set the enable password to C1 $C0. This password protects access to privileged mode. Note the 0 in C1 $C0 is 0, not a capital O. This password will not grade as correct until after you encrypt it in step 8. The first thing you do is type in enable, and this gets you to privileged exec mode where you can access all the other commands. Type in configure terminal, enter, and that'll bring you back to the configuration mode. Type in enable, password, and the password is going to be C1 $C0. Put C1 $C0. Then you hit enter, and type exit, and enter one more time. Now it says step 5, verify that privileged mode access is secure. Enter the exit command again to log out. Just type in exit, hit enter, it'll log you out. If you enter again, it'll say user access verification. Now you just gotta type in the password. First one you gotta do is let me in to get into enabled. Then you do enable, hit enter, it'll ask you for another password. This is C1 $C0, and this is the one we just set. If you type it in right, it'll log you in. And again, it won't show you the password for their security. And then verify your configuration by examining the contents of the running configuration file. So on once you're into here, you type in show space running dash config and enter. And it will go through, and this is what shows you your entire file of what you used to create this. So you can see the enable, or actually hold on. So here's where we set the host name to switch 1. Space all the way down to the bottom. Here's what we did last. We set the password to let me in. And yeah. Notice that the console and enable password are both in plain text. This could pose a security risk if someone is looking over your shoulder or obtains access to config files stored in a backup location. Step 6. Configure an encrypted password to secure access to privileged mode. The enable password should be replaced with the newer encrypted secret password using the enable secret command. Set the enable secret password to it's a secret. So just type in config space T and enter, and then do enable secret and then space it's a secret. Hit enter, and then type in exit, and hit enter one more time. Note, the enable secret password overrides the enable password. If both are configured on the switch, you must enter the enable secret password to enter privileged exec mode. Step 7, verify that the enable secret password is added to the configuration file. Enter the show running config command again to verify the new enable secret password is configured. So you show running dash config, and you can also just type in show run if you want. Hit enter, space to go to the bottom, and then you can scroll up and down. question is, what is displayed for enable secret password? So to answer this question, you just gotta scroll up to the top where we typed in enable secret, and then what's displayed is $1, hold on, MERR/BB7K/EJ-A4A07N0 right here. So wherever we had that password for enable, this is in its place now. This is just to hide the original password from us. Next question, why is the enable secret password displayed differently from what we configured? The enable secret is shown in encrypted form, whereas the enable password is in plain text. So this is the encrypted password, so that people can't read over your shoulder and find out what it is. Step 8, encrypt the enable in console passwords. As you noticed in step 7, the enable secret password was encrypted, but the enable and console passwords were still in plain text. We will now encrypt these plain text passwords using the service password encryption command. We'll just scroll back down to our prompt, type in config t, enter, then type in service password -encryption, hit enter, and then type in exit, then enter one more time to go back down to this prompt, and we'll continue reading. If you configure any more passwords on the switch, will they be displayed in configuration file as plain text or in encrypted form? Explain. The answer to this question is the service password encryption command encrypts all current and future passwords. So yes, all the other passwords will be encrypted. Part 3, configure a motd banner. Step 1, configure a message of the day, motd banner. The Cisco iOS command set includes a feature that allows you to configure messages that anyone logging onto the switch sees. These messages are called message of the day, or motd banners. Enclose the banner text in quotations or use a delimiter different from any character appearing in the motd string. So they want us to go down here to the prompt, type in config t, hit enter, and now you need to type in banner. It's called up on the banner motd for message of the day, and then here you can use you're going to put your text in between two characters of the exact same character that are unique for the rest of the sentence. So we're going to use quotes. And then type in, this is a secure system. Authorized access only. And then we're just going to hit enter. Now you can use something like a $sign or a pound symbol instead of using these quotes if you want. It just has to be unique and not used on any of this part of the sentence. Alright. Now I want us to type in exit. To exit out, enter. And then the next question is, when will this banner be displayed? And why should every switch have a motd banner? So the answer is, the message will be displayed when someone accesses the switch through the console port. And why should every switch have a motd banner? every switch should have a banner to warn unauthorized users that access is prohibited. Banners can also be used for sending messages to network personnel/technicians, such as impending system shutdowns or who to contact for access. Part 4. Save and verify configuration files to NVRAM. Step 1. Verify that the configuration is accurate using the show run command. Save the configuration file. You have completed the basic configuration of the switch. Now back up the running configuration file to NVRAM to ensure that the changes made are not lost. If the system is rebooted or loses power, so down here at the prompt, I want you to type in copy running dash config space startup dash config and hit enter. You'll hit destination file name, and then it'll give you a default file name, so put it in startup config. This will be your default. You can change this, but we're not gonna. Then hit enter if it's okay with you. Then it'll say okay. Next question is, what is the shortest abbreviated version of the copy running config startup config command? So what you could type in is COP space R space S, and that'll be the shortest abbreviated version. Next question, examine the startup configuration file. Which command will display the contents of NVRAM? If you type in show space startup dash config, that'll give you the contents. And then are all the changes that are entered recorded in the file? Yes, it is the same as the running configuration. Now we got part 5, configure switch 2. You have completed the configuration on switch 1. You will now configure switch 2. If you cannot remember the commands, refer to parts 1 to 4 for assistance. Configure switch 2 with the following parameters. Device name, switch 2. Protect access to the console using letmin password. Configure an enable password of C1 $C0 and an enabled secret password of it's a secret. Configure an appropriate message to those logging into the switch. Encrypt all plain text passwords. Ensure that the configuration is correct. Save the configuration file to avoid loss if the switch is powered down. Click on switch 2, scroll all the way down, click here, hit enter. Then you're going to type in enable, to hit enter. This will bring you to privileged exec mode. We're going to type in show running dash config, hit enter. We'll do it one more time. Space, and here you can see all this, all the information. And the next thing you do, we're going to go to configure terminal. Hit enter. Type in hostname, space, and they wanted the name to be S2, capital S2, hit enter. As you can see, it changes to capital S2. And type in exit, enter, enter, and now we're back down here. It says S2 hashtag. Now we need to secure it, so we're going to type in configure terminal. Enter, type in line space console space 0, hit enter. I'm going to type in password space. Over here it says use letmin, let me in, enter. And we're going to type in login, hit enter, then exit, enter, exit, enter, enter. Now we're back down here. We're going to do exit one more time, enter, enter. Now it'll ask you for the password. It is let me in. And again, it won't show the password for their security. Now let's see here. Now we need to set up a password for the privileged exec. So type in enable, enter. To go into privileged exec mode, type in configure terminal, enter, enable password, password is going to be C1 $C0, and I'm going to hit enter to set the password, C1 $C0, type in exit, enter, enter. Now we're just going to check that it worked. So we've typed in exit again, enter. Let's log into user exec. This is still let me in. Enter. We'll type in enable, enter. And here it'll ask for the password. It should be C1 $C0, enter. That's what we just set. And if it let me in, that means it worked. And now we're going to type in show space running dash config, enter, space, space, space. Now you can scroll and you can see there's a password. We need to hide that in just a minute. So to do that, we're going to type in config space T, enter, then type in enable space secret space, and it'll be it's a secret with no spaces. Hit enter. Now if we do exit, enter, enter, that should be done. Now if we do show run space run, it's the same thing as show running config. Hit enter. And if we scroll back up, here's where it used to give us the password. Now it's been hidden. But now we still have a few passwords that are available. So we're going to just change those so no one can see it. We're going to type in config space T, enter. Type in service space password dash encryption, hit enter, type in exit, enter, enter, and that should be done. We can check this if we go to show run, enter. Now you see all the passwords have been encrypted. Every single one. Alright, now we're going to configure a motd banner. So to do this, we're going to type in config space T, hit enter, type in banner space motd, and then in quotes, we're going to type in this is a secure system authorized access only, exclamation mark. Quit, enter. Oh, it says I messed something up. Yeah, so let me do this one more time. Banner motd, I forgot a space. In quotes, this is a secure system authorized access only. One more time. There we go. That worked. Just type in exit, enter, enter again, and that should be done. Now we gotta save it to the NVRAM. If you go to copy space running dash config space startup dash config, then hit enter, enter, and it should be done. And that is it. You can X out of this, and if you go down here to your instructions, it'll say completion 100%. So that is how to do the Cisco 2.5.5 packet tracer activity. If you enjoy the video and learned something, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.